Good morning. My video today is going to be a bit longer than what we're used to because I was asked to repeat my sermon from this past Shabbat for today's video. So it's going to be a little bit longer, but I hope you will listen and I hope you will enjoy. Shabbat Shalom. I'll start it the way I did on Saturday. We may all remember when we were children playing a game called telephone. Children would sit in a circle, and one would whisper something in the next person's ear, and it would go around the circle. And at the end of the game, you would see if what the last person heard is what the first person said. So you might start off with a sentence like, "The Wizard of Oz is a great movie," and end up with, "Gouging your eyes isn't groovy." Part of the reason for this was that we are all great talkers, but very few of us are great listeners. And yet, in this week's Torah portion, we have the second paragraph of the Shema, which starts with the words, "V'haya im shemoa," and it will be if you will only listen. And many people read this paragraph and they see the reward, punishment part of it, and they see it as a threat. But what if we didn't see it as a threat? What if instead we saw it as a plea? If you would only listen to me, please listen. From the time we're small, we know of our five senses. And yet the one which seems to be the hardest for human beings to use is our ability to truly hear each other. Often we are too concerned with what we want to say or what we think the other person is trying to say than with what is actually being said. I know for myself, one of my pet peeves, and I think this happens to all of us, is when I ask a question and a person answers the question they think I should have asked rather than listening to the question I actually asked. How many times in our own lives do we utter the same plea? If you would only listen. I come from a family of debaters. My brother David likes to say the method of social intercourse in our home was interruption. We would sit around the table and we would debate whatever the topic was, and at some point, inevitably, someone would be interrupted and that person would say, "Can I please finish my sentence?" And of course the answer was no. It was more important to talk than it was to listen. But God is trying to teach us a profound lesson: the need to truly hear each other. Perhaps the most tragic person in the entire Tanakh is Moshe Rabbeinu, our teacher Moses. No one listens to him. His brother, his sister, the people, sooner or later they all betray him. Last week we read the first paragraph of the Shema, which starts with the verse that every child is taught in Hebrew school, "Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad." Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And if you ask the average person, when you say the Shema, who are you saying it to? They'll say, well, it's a prayer to God. But it's not. We say it to each other. We don't say, "Hear, O God." We say, "Hear, O Israel." It's not a prayer to God. It's a plea to humanity. So why do we have a fear of listening? Perhaps if we listen, we'll be motivated to change our lives, change our ways. Perhaps we're afraid to discover what we don't want to know. But true growth can only come from listening. I can speak forever. Don't worry, I won't, but I can. But I won't grow until I listen to you. And that is what makes our ability to hear the most meaningful of the five senses. It is ironic that that which we hear touches us more than that which we touch, enables us to see more than that which we see, and allows us to taste life more than any food we taste. One of my favorite jokes concerns a man who lives in an apartment building and his home is flooded and the waters start to rise and he's on the second floor and a boat comes by and it says, "Quick, get on the boat and we'll take you to safety." And he says, "No, I believe in God and God will save me." The waters continue to rise and he runs up to the 9th floor and another boat comes by and it says, "Quick, get on the boat, we'll take you to safety." He says, "No, I believe in God and God will save me." The waters continue to rise. He runs up to the roof and a helicopter comes by and it drops a ladder and it says, and they say, "Quick, climb the ladder. We'll take you to safety." He says, "No, I believe in God and God will save me." The man drowns. He gets to heaven. He says, "God, I don't understand. I've tried to live a good life. I've tried to be good to other people. I've tried to give charity. I've tried to observe the mitzvot. I've kept kosher. I pray 3 times a day. Why didn't you save me? God said, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What more do you want from me? Sometimes listening means being open to everything that is around us. And sometimes it is difficult to listen, but that's when we need to listen the most. The Maggid of Mezrich once asked his students, where is God? And of course they said, God is everywhere. And he said, no, God's not everywhere. So they said, then God must be in the Beit Midrash, in the house of study. He said, no, God's not in the Beit Midrash. He said, well, then God must be in the Beit Knesset, in the synagogue. He says, no, God's not in the synagogue. They said, Master, where is God then? He says, God is wherever human beings let God in. So this Shabbat, let us take time to listen to God and to listen to each other, to truly hear what is being said, so that the plea, V'haya im shamoa, if you would only listen, becomes a plea fulfilled. Shabbat Shalom. That was my sermon from this past Shabbos. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.